Hello, good morning, and welcome to my video on hanging gardens that I feel improves on my first one quite a bit, basically just tweaking other ones I've seen. So the first one is one where you take your bottles and you hang them like this essentially, but I found that cutting through the top here can be challenging because it's so hard. It's the hardest part of the bottle. So this new method uses fewer tools. You don't need a power drill, and you basically connect the bottles, cut off the bottoms, and connect them like this, and then connect each unit with a double-sided cap. So the tools you'll need are a scissors or hobby knife and a hot glue gun, or you can do it with super glue, but it'll take a lot of super glue, and a hammer to hammer the scissors through the caps. Otherwise, if you have a drill, power drill, it can be very useful for drilling the holes if you just have a small bit, a sponge, and that's it. What we're going to do right now is make the last unit of this hanger, and hopefully that will give you an idea of how to make one. So, the first step is to cut through the bottoms of the bottles you're going to use. Now you'll see that they don't quite fit together inside of each other because they're the same size. So you can either cut off down to here and get a smaller one, or you can cut little triangles, and that'll make it so that this can squeeze in. What I'm going to do is just cut a little bit more off, because with these bottles it's pretty obvious where the wider parts and smaller parts are, but you'll see that this works pretty well. Fits right in there. And what you want to do is have the bottle that's fitting into the other bottle on top. So now I'm going to plug my hot glue gun in. In the meantime, while that's heating up, I'm going to cut my holes for the plants to grow out of. Another thing that you want to remember to do is to cut the label, because the hot glue won't adhere to the bottle if the label's in the way. Alright, so now the holes are cut and the hot glue gun is hot. I take two caps and score them a little bit. Then I take the hot glue gun and just put the glue all over, put it pretty even, and just squish them together. You want to hold them really tight for a minute so that they really grab each other, and we'll let that cool, and then we'll drill a hole through it. And next you are going to connect your bottles. Just go ahead and put a ring in here. Take this and fit it in there. Shove it down and get it nice and even if you can, straight, to really push the two sides together so the glue will stick well. So now I've got my cap. Let me grab my drill. Drill a couple holes. I really only need one hole. Next step, we tape around the bottle to keep the light away from the roots. You can see how much more space you have. You get almost 3/4 of another bottle worth of space for the plant to grow. We're going to need one more cap because this is the bottom unit, so that's probably long enough for the glue to set. It's time to connect it to the upper unit, so we will, let's see, you can see that there's nothing in there right now, so we'll take a piece of our sponge and get it a little bit wet just to let it squish into place. Oops, wrong bottle. Put it just like that. Take your cap, screw it on there. Screw the top of your next unit onto that. Now we just need to add the bottom to it. So to do that, we take one of these tiny 12-ounce bottles. I like to use these because I've never had enough water in it that it's necessary to have one of these big ones. So take your sponge again, cut off a square, get it wet. Stuff it in there, screw your cap on, and then one thing you need to remember about the reservoir is that you need a tiny hole in it, because otherwise when the water's trying to drip in, it'll build up pressure and it won't drip. So it can be a really small hole. Barely see it, and then just screw the reservoir on the bottom, and you're good to go. Here's the hanger that we just made as it hangs, and after I'm done crocheting a holder for the bottom just to make it look nicer, I will put dirt in it and add my plants and take a picture of that. So here is an update on my hanger. It's been about, I would say, 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, and my bean plants are looking good. I've been using pipe cleaners to hold them on to the hangers as they get bigger, and it's working well. They're producing beans, and one thing to notice, however, is that this 2-liter hanger, the bean plant, is much larger and healthier, although it is a week older. So that could make a large difference, but bean plants are growing, they're looking healthy.